vaccine shortage.
No. I remember. Yeah, I have views of all of that because they mentioned the economy. I would want to probably set it
up. The debt exchange program, the financial haircuts,
yes,
the rating downgrades into
Aisha, to be frank, all of us, including myself, we all agree that we are not in normal times. And we have also mentioned that it is not because of the happenings of this particular government or the actions. We have mentioned it several times. And the NDC has assumed a certain posture, blatantly refusing to acknowledge the fact that it is COVID and Russia-Ukraine war that brought us all this mess.
Why?
Aisha, as I speak, in 2019, if you ship a container, it was 1,489. In 2022, it is $9,446.
But the NDC says COVID came as a blessing to the NDC.
No, how is it?
It mentions an amount of 30 billion that you raked in within 1 year. And you still think
if you don't allow me to flow in some of these things, I think you don't get it well.
Okay, go ahead.
I said that COVID caused it.
Okay.
Russia-Ukraine war is part of it. You asked why. And I'm saying that if before COVID, any business person shipping a container would have to pay $1,400.
Okay.
But because of COVID, you are now paying close to $10,000.
Okay.
If during COVID, African Development Bank is saying that, look, we have had almost about 300% rise in the price of fertilizer. We import 30% of fertilizer from Russia. Ukraine alone, we get almost about 60% of our steel and iron ore from Ukraine. 50% of flour is from Russia. 39% of our fertilizer is from Russia. 30% of grains is from Russia. So how can anybody, any well-meaning person, somebody who really wants to, know the facts and go behind what is really going on, tell me that this cannot affect the economy of, especially when we are heavily relying on these two economies, Russia and then Ukraine.
But the NDC says it's not only Ghana that was hit by Russia, Ukraine, and COVID. It hit a lot more countries. But why is it only Ghana? Is it that we didn't have a plan?
How is it only Ghana?
To actually
in their press conference, I quite remember that they mentioned that Ivory Coast is doing so well. Ivory Coast now, as I speak, they are, with the IMF, seeking for a $2.9 billion bailout. So how is that a fact? How is that a fact? I mean, you visit UK and unprecedented, they have a high, almost about, in over 40 years, they've never experienced such high inflationary figures. In over 40 years, US, they've not experienced such high rate of unemployment before. It is global. Even when the vice president even came here, he alluded to these facts. It is not only Ghana.
Are you now blaming unemployment on COVID and Ukraine?
No, it is part of it. But you see, we manage it very well. Before, under NDC, unemployment rate was close to about 13%. We brought it down to 9%. That is why I was saying that we had managed even the economy far better. Look, I was giving you some figures that even at grade 2013 to 2016, they managed an average growth of 2.8%. 2017 to 2020, we managed an average growth of 5.8%. Industry was booming. From 2017 to 2020, we had an average growth of 10.8%. You compare that to a paltry 3.3% of the NDC. Actually, you go to service sector, whilst we were managing or we were doing 7.3%, they were doing 5.2%. City depreciation, yes, we've suffered, some fall. I would agree. But then we've managed it 2013 to 2016. The NDC performed poorly, 18%. 2017 to 2021, we had 6.8%. So, Aisha, no well-meaning person would say that the NDC managed the economy far better than us. And even in COVID, even when the NDC did not have COVID, they said that they lacked the policy credibility. They had to run to IMF. Even when there was no COVID in Russia-Ukraine war, we were told that our resources have been stripped to the bone. Even when we did not have Russia-Ukraine war, we were told that industry players who were complaining of the hardship as a result of doing so are not smart enough. They are laying off workers. We did not have Dunso. We were told that if you want to enjoy stable electricity, be prepared to pay more. At least I am happy that I have been coming to these studios quite a lot. And in COVID and Russia-Ukraine war, we still have lights on. We've suffered some 4-5 years of Dunso under the NDC era. Okay. So if anybody, especially my brothers from the NDC, if they want to juxtapose these two economies and they would want to blatantly refuse to accept the fact that globally we are suffering, but rather because of political capital, they would want to put out falsehood, massage figures, manipulate the story, and then consistently, if they decide to hit on this falsehood, because their belief is that consistent repetition of falsehood can in a way create a certain sense of truth in the minds of people. So that is what they seek to do.
Let me bring in Sammy James.